Hey, happy Monday. It is Making Money Mondays, but Megan Making Money is not here, but we'll still give out her favorite bets for today on the show over at the Barstool Sportsbook. Who is with us is Mr. Stephen Cheah. Stephen, kind of slowing down now. It's kind of weird. I told our
Yep.
producer Jack, I'm in this like conundrum because football season, basketball season, even hockey is just like falling off a cliff. I mean, we're seeing teams getting swept, possibly. We'll get into that tonight. Lakers Nuggets. Poor Dave Portnoy, his Boston Celtics just have no answer for Jimmy Butler. It is absolutely and utterly wild. That being said, I'm looking forward to slowing down this summer, but you've got things ramping up right now. You're moving to Chicago. We've got
Yep.
a dozen tournament coming up. What else is going on in the world of Stephen Cheah?
That's it. NBA is still, at least for the next 2 days, a daily event. So doing that, the finals don't start till June 1st. So we're looking at potentially like a full week without basketball. Maybe it'll be a good time to refresh. And as far as Dave, you can call Dave a lot of things. I would not call him poor. I would not associate that word with him.
I just meant from a fan perspective, but you
Right.
are
Yeah.
correct. At the end of the day, he can cry in his yacht about the Celtics getting swept in Miami, where he currently resides. That is a very, very funny thing. Fandom is always interesting to me. We've been over this several times on the show. One of the things that I did want to address before I give out Megan's plays over at the Barstool Sportsbook is Big Ev possibly having to shave his beard. You and I kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago with Megan, and you said,
Yep.
I don't think he's in any danger. Right now, the danger signs are going off. Your thoughts? What would you make the line on? Yes, he's going to have to shave his beard.
So I think the Nuggets Lakers series is 3-0, but that's a wrap. They're going to win the series. So assuming they're playing the Heat, which looks pretty promising based on the Celtics just quitting during the middle of Game 3. I was talking about this with Ed this morning. I probably put Denver at like minus 175. He was saying he would put it at minus 200 or better. I think it's really hard to bet against Miami. I mean, who's playing better basketball than the Miami Heat? I know that the Nuggets have a very, very strong starting lineup. My issue with them since the beginning of the playoffs, their bench stinks. Bruce Brown's been playing pretty well, and that's one guy you can maybe get, 12 to 16 points out of. But then we're talking about Christian Brown, who doesn't score, and Jeff Green. So, I mean, you're looking at essentially a 6-man series against a Miami Heat team that is deep. They're getting production from everybody. So, it'd be hard for me to bet against Miami in the finals.
I texted a good bookmaker friend of mine, and I asked him this morning, I said, hey, what do you make this series? He said minus 135 for the Nuggets. And I said, what?
Wow.
And he said, listen, we were really inundated on Lakers money. Obviously, this bookmaker is in Las Vegas. So sometimes geographically, you're going to see odds change, right? When we have a national book, like a Barstool Sports book, there's going to be some pretty evenness across the board just because of geographical locations. But in Las Vegas, you get inundated with California money all the time. A lot of money was taken at Lakers at 36-1. I mean, they barely squeaked in the playoffs. They handled the Warriors. This is a Nuggets team that I have to agree with you about. I do have some concerns with them as far as their bench goes, but I think they got gifted being able to play the Lakers here. The Heat had a much tougher road, even though they got to play the Bucks without Giannis and your Knicks. So it's kind of crazy, though. I would not have guessed either one of these teams to sweep. We'll get into both of these games, though, Cheah, since there is no money shots tomorrow. But really quickly, I wanted to give out Megan's Making Money Monday over at the Barstool Sportsbook. Freddie Freeman to record a hit and the over in the Dodgers-Braves game. And then we also need Luis Arraez. I know I fucked that up, but just in Megan true fashion, in honor of her, I did it on purpose to record a hit versus the Rockies. Was plus 120. Barstool Sportsbook boosted it to plus 150. Go over to the Barstool Sportsbook. Go underneath the exclusive sections. You will see her right there. If you want to tail Megan. Cheah, let's get into a couple NBA games as we just discussed the series price. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. The total in tonight's games kind of got me in a little bit of a conundrum here, if you will. Open 221.5, already 224 at the Barstool Sportsbook. Denver sitting steady at +3. The whole world is on Denver. They're writing the Lakers off. Do you think the Lakers have a little bit of a fight left in them, or do you think this one's done?
I do. I don't necessarily think this will be a sweep. I could see the Lakers winning tonight. The games, for the most part, have been close, and then in the fourth quarter have just kind of gotten away from the Lakers. I could see them pulling it out. I mean, what's interesting about this series is LeBron has taken such a back seat, and I don't know if it's necessarily Aaron Gordon's guarding him, who's a really good, size, athletic, strength profile against LeBron, or is it just like, is his age catching up to him? He's 38. He is not looking to score for the most part. If he gets the ball in transition, he's pushing up and he'll try and get a layup. But outside, I mean, he's looking to pass a lot, and that reflects in his stats with his assists this series. It's really surprising to see Austin Reeves kind of be the second scoring option for this team. And, LeBron's outside of last game has been horrendous from downtown this series, but he has really not been looking to force the issue scoring wise and having younger guys like Austin Reeves step up.
Yeah, it's interesting because I texted a good Lakers buddy of mine who I also respect as an NBA handicapper. So it wasn't like I was being malicious, but I knew that he would know the answer to this. And I texted him this morning. I said, hey, when's the last time the Lakers got swept in the playoffs? And he texted me back, leave me alone. I said, no, this is serious. I need this for work. And then he said that it was the Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki. And I go, oh my God, it's kind of similarly eerie once I started to remember that series. The Lakers had no answer for Dirk. They really have no answer for Jokic. And I think it's kind of a weird conundrum here, over a decade later, that these are still the same issues that are plaguing the Lakers. The Jokic factor here has ultimately been the reason why I was on the Nuggets. I haven't seen any team really have an answer for him. Maybe the Heat will. Now, we did see at the end of game one where the Lakers started to pull away. They found somewhat of an answer for Jokic. But what do you really think the X factor is tonight for the Lakers to get the win? How are they going to beat the Nuggets outside of containing Jokic?
Who's going to step up? So Anthony Davis, I think, he's been relatively consistently inconsistent, having a good game, having a bad game, good game, bad game, etc. This would be on pace for him to have a bad game. I think that he plays fine tonight. Can LeBron score over 26 points and really be a consistent scoring punch for them? Austin Reeves has been very consistent and solid. Rui Hachimura has been pretty good this series coming off the bench, and especially defending Jokic. I think he's done a really good job. I think what I'm looking at is who for the Nuggets is really going to blow up. Is Jokic going to have, a 60 combined points, rebounds, assists game? Is Michael Porter Jr. going to go nuts from three? Is Jamal Murray going to go nuts from three? We saw him pretty much contain 2 games ago, and then he just went bananas in the fourth quarter. So where is that? Who's kind of rise to the occasion? We've seen D'Angelo Russell, who's a guy I know a lot of Lakers fans were very hot on after the trade with his second stint with the team. He has been an absolute non-factor this series. He has been a big-time minus on the defensive end while really not scoring almost at all on the offensive end. So who's really going to show up from these secondary guys? The Lakers have a lot of players that could, blow up. You see Lonnie Walker, or even he doesn't really play as much in the rotation anymore, but Malik Beasley's a guy who can score in this league. They have a lot of those guys. Denver doesn't have as many, so they need to rely on the production of starters. Can their starters maintain this incredible scoring output that they have this whole series?
Yeah, Jamal Murray just has absolutely dominated the Lakers. If it wasn't Jokic, he was handing it over to the hot hand in Jamal Murray. So there is something I was kind of looking at from a props perspective. But you have one that you put out on Twitter last night, doing some late night research. Austin Reeves over 25.5 combined points, rebounds, and assists for tonight. Talk to me about that one.
The line was a little bit low on our book. So if I see that, I want to try and take advantage. It's sharps don't necessarily have the best picks, but they can sniff out a bad line. And I think that line was a little bit too low. His combined rebounds and assists, which is something you always want to look at if you're taking the combined points, rebounds, and assists, has been 8, 10, and 12 this series. So we're looking at a floor of 8. I feel pretty good about him being in that 17, 18 point range. And we're looking at that on the low side. He's been just so consistent. LeBron's been so passive, and looking for Reeves, even in transition, for threes and trips to the rack. He does a really good job also drawing fouls. We saw that last game, went to the line 6 times. So I think Austin Reeves at 25.5, the number was a little bit low, so I wanted to put it out before it moved.
All right, I like it. I think tonight's going to be a really good game. The only way I can start to look now, Cheah, to be really honest with you, is towards the under. This one's gotten bet up, and the under has not been good to me. I gave out the under 2 nights in a row, went 0-2, kind of got on a cold streak, if you will. Last night, I was just patiently waiting, hoping to find a better number in game. And while I did hit some of the 220-ish mark there, I didn't like the pace of how things were going. And as you mentioned when we started, it kind of is one of those spots where it's okay to lay off, right? We know that as the playoffs get going deeper and deeper, the lines are going to get tighter and tighter. So I did end up staying off last night and probably will tonight. But let's go on to Tuesday night. Currently, Barstool Sportsbook, Miami -1.5, total 215.5. Cheah, this one is tough. You have this Celtics team that kind of went back and forth from being the favorite to win the whole thing. Now, people have really started to jump ship, including our faithful leader, Dave Portnoy. I saw he had a Celtics shirt on that, well, changed to, let's be honest, a Heat sweep with a broom. I felt really bad. That had to be a tough picture to take, or whoever photoshopped it. Congrats to them, because I sure as hell fell for it. That being said, are you looking at anything going into Tuesday night before I let you go?
Yeah. Betting Miami is really tough because sometimes Jimmy Butler blows up, but sometimes, last game they kind of made a statement. They said they're going to send guys at him and not let Jimmy Butler beat him. He didn't, as far as statistically, his numbers didn't look incredible from like a combined points, rebounds, and assists perspective, but he dominated the game as far as dishing the ball to the right guys, and then the role players stepped up as far as Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, etc. So Miami is a tough team to bet props on. Similarly, Boston has just not shown up the past few games, so they're a tough team to bet on. Jaylen Brown has been very poor this series. 0 for 7 from 3 yesterday. He's had 2 really bad shooting games in a row. Jason Tatum is super streaky as far as he can either go off for a very efficient 40, 15 boards and 5 assists, or he can have a really bad shooting night and just kind of bog the team down. The one guy that I would look at, the one guy with heart on the Boston Celtics, is Marcus Smart. And a prop that I've loved throughout this whole postseason is Marcus Smart over rebounds. I like to adjust it to over 2.5 because that's kind of his sweet spot. I think he's done 3+ rebounds in like something crazy, like 28 of his last 30 playoff games. In elimination games, his rebounding total is outstanding. I don't have the exact figure on me, but going back to last series, I think he was like averaging 6.7 rebounds per game in elimination games. I think he had 8 or 9 last night. His line is over 3.5. That's going to be my play tomorrow.
All right. Kevin Love is questionable for tomorrow, so keep an eye on that. If I do end up on the Heat, who have won 7 straight at home, I kind of said this the other night. I know these are small sample sizes, but I wasn't willing to step in front of the Nuggets at home. I don't think I'm willing to step in front of the Heat at home. We'll keep an eye on that injury news as well as to see where the line moves and if I'm going to get involved on either. But if this total for tonight keeps getting bet up, Cheah, you can almost all but bet I'm probably going to go a little contrarian and take the under. We'll keep an eye on that. Anything else you would like to report on Making Money Mondays?
Yes. One thing that I would just like to throw out there is Boston has been really good. Al Horford specifically against Bam Adebayo with jump balls. So if you're looking at first baskets, it's really tough to say, to be honest. Jaylen Brown has been their best first basket guy by far. He's taken 25 first shot attempts, guys. So you can look for him to potentially get involved early. But if they pack the paint again, like they did the second quarter and on really yesterday, that could be problematic because he hasn't really hit from downtown. So there could be some good values in either the Derek White, Al Horford, or Marcus Smart, which are all 10-1 or better. That's something I would consider. But right. I don't have like a favorite play out of those guys.
No, but those first basket props are really good whenever I don't tail you on them. Jake Koopman's always tweeting me about them, and a couple other guys in my mentions. Very happy that I have have not mushed, if you will. I did try to mush Brooks yesterday. The person sitting next to me on the couch, you can make that inference if you want, had a Patrick Cantley ticket in hand, and he was back 4 strokes. I said, let's see if I still got it. Let's see if we throw a reverse jinx out there. But congratulations to Brooks Koepka. I know the PMT guys were super happy. I was happy to see the Big Cat cash a big ticket on that 63 grand. And then I got to watch Brooks.
He finished the equivalent of 40th place in the PGA Championship yesterday, as far as prize winnings.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Just wild. That being said, really exciting day for sports. So we're going to work on some more golf stuff headed into the summer. Cheah, what is your plans for the summer? When NBA is over, you just casually just going to be a dozen champion again? Or we have some reality TV show that you're just going to buffalo everybody into thinking you're not the nice methodical guy, or what?
It's a good question. Obviously, the move is going to be the top priority. We're moving at the end of August.
Oh, wow. So you're coming in hot, like last minute.
Potentially, yes. We'll see. I might dip my toe in the baseball world to see. I'm personally not a fan of the sport. It's just too many games. It's too long. Pitch count does the pitch clock does help.
I do think that
I might
actually
try and do one of those maybe once a week or something like that if there's a day game I like. But I'm not going to go every day. And something I will address. So this season, my playoff record has been bad for NBA. I'm a few games. I think I'm 17-21 in the playoffs with my daily props. Something I'm going to do next year is I'm not going to be giving a pick every day. I'm going to tone it down. I don't know if it's going to be 60%, 80%, probably not 90%, but something probably in that range.
My nerd sports betting side loves that for you. Like that just warms my heart. Guys,
it's very, because I committed in the beginning of the season, one pick every day was NBA basketball on. I can do that from a bandwidth perspective, but from a percentages perspective, especially like game ones and stuff like that of the series, it's very difficult. So the playoffs are tough, and that's been proven out this year. But next year will be a little bit more conservative as far as NBA, but that also opens the door up for some things where if I like 2 plays a night, or very, very seldomly if there's 3 plays I love it a night, I could put those out. So next year will be a little bit different, but this year we're staying the course. We're doing 1 pick a day, and we'll see where we finish. Right now we're about, I think, 56.9% or 57%, something like that. So hopefully you can finish in the high 50s. And yeah, next year will be a little bit different, but the rest of the summer we'll see with potentially some baseball.
All right, I love that. K props are always an interesting one to me. Bases, lots of fun things over at the Barstool Sportsbook. If you like to bet baseball, maybe I'll even join Cheah. I know we've got some good insight from some other people in the office as well as regards to those things. Go ahead.
I do want to address something, a comment from the Gambler News. Alt-line parlays are fishy. I would actually disagree. Alt-line parlays I'm actually 4-4 on in my last 8. As far as the month of May, I'm looking at pretty good. I think, especially with the lot. The reason I like alt-line parlays, and Kelly, maybe you can disagree with this, but the lines in the playoffs are so sharp. If there are 1 or 2 games per night, you really got to find an edge wherever you can. So if I can lower a number by even a little bit, it works out. I mean, we hit Anthony Davis, LeBron James the other night, both over 21.5 points. That was due to an alt-line parlay. You could look at it, okay, well, why don't you just take Anthony Davis straight at 24.5? All right, well, what happens if I took LeBron James at 25.5? Like, that's a loser. So with alt-line parlay, it does buy a little bit of wiggle room. It's tough if guys don't show up like Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, etc. But yeah, that's the reason. Plus, I just think the odds are pretty good. If you can get pretty close to even money on those, I kind of like that. So
yeah,
I do understand the negative where you're relying on 2 guys, but at the same time, they're likely to hit. So what are your thoughts?
Each one is going to be mathematically different. Obviously, that's why there's different odds on every single one. But I've already said I don't think it's conducive for any sports book to allow correlated parlays. But here we are. They do it. So just always check your math. Check with Cheah. I agree. You don't want to be laying big juice on some of these. And so sometimes when you're able to move the stool at the Barstool Sportsbook, that's just what makes sense. You want to cook up a little something for a random Monday night. And as long as you're betting within your bankroll threshold, all is well in the world.
Yep.
Thank you to Stephen Cheah at Trust the Date if you guys are not following him on Twitter. And then, of course, at Stephen Cheah for his personal account. You're the best. Thank you for coming on Money Shots with us while Megan makes her move to Chicago. She's going to be back in a couple weeks, you guys. Talk baseball. And that's when I get to figure out what the hell I'm going to do for this summer because I'm already losing my mind, as I told Stephen Cheah before the show started. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us. We will see you guys back here on Wednesday.